What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the 1894. I'm Dara. I have Joe with me here today. We're talking about Brighton, big Brighton on the Wednesday. Joe, how are you feeling going into it?
Not as confident as I was a few weeks ago, because obviously we did just come off the back of a loss. It's the first loss since Tottenham in January, February. I can't even remember, to be honest. I don't want to remember. It's not something that we've become accustomed to. We don't often lose. We don't often drop points. It's just a shame, really, that it happened. I think there wasn't really much avoiding it, just too many costly errors that we need to try and avoid against Brighton, because on paper, yes, we are the stronger team, and I think the last time we played in this season it was 4-1, so realistically we should be winning, but their last two games they've beat Arsenal and Tottenham, so they're looking good at the moment. I think they went through a span of about 7 games without scoring a goal, and then they've now just come on and beat both North London sides, so something that we need to be careful of. And obviously the added pressure of Liverpool, albeit playing United, they play before us, so realistically the pressure is going to be on.
Yeah, exactly. I think Brighton, obviously I feel they play a bit more the style of football that Tottenham don't like playing against, you know what I mean? I think they were kind of the team that Tottenham were going to drop points to, if anyone, really, to be honest with you. But I'm going into this fairly confident. I don't care about what we saw Saturday. I think it's going to be a new team, going to be better. We're going to have a better fit to go out and beat Brighton. And look, I'm still confident. I'm always going to be confident in this team because we're just on a day fantastic. And I think now we know the pressure's going to be on. There's a chance we'll be second in the league. I'm going to want to go out there and put on a good performance. A man who will have in that team that I want to talk about a bit because he scored on Saturday was Jack Grealish. I thought he was really good. I thought he was getting into the little pockets of space. Obviously, he got the goal as well. He's in a really good position to capitalise on that goal. And in the reverse fixture of this, he was actually quite decent as well. I remember, I'm not sure if he won the penalty or not, but I remember being very, very good at the Amex. Joe, how do you feel about him, like, coming into it? Do you think he's going to make the difference?
I hope so. We're yet to see really a back-to-back good performance from Grealish. We've had the odd couple of games here and there against United. Obviously, he scored against Liverpool, but we've had sort of the odd performance here and there, but we haven't had consistency at all. I don't feel like we've had 2 back-to-back games where you go, wow, he was really, really good. He blew everyone away. So hopefully this could be a turning point. Is he the right fit for this system? Evidently not, realistically. You look at the season, he's getting there. Of course he's getting there. It's always going to take time, but if he is going to play, which he might have to, given the state of our squad at the moment, he might have to come and play. Then he's going to have to turn up because, we need that bounce back ability to come and basically just put a loss behind us and go on and play like we normally do. And even if he doesn't start, he'll most likely have an impact off the bench. So I imagine he'll play in some way, shape or form. But again, it's all on to him as to how good he chooses to be on the day. And it also comes down to the position he plays. At Wembley against Liverpool, he scored and he started off in that false 9 role where we've seen him perform before. You look back to, I think it was Watford, where he was really, really good. He didn't score a goal, but I didn't even think he got an assist, but he was still really, really good in that false 9 role. So I'd like to see him in that role. I wouldn't like to see him out on the left. It just hasn't really worked this season. I think we've got better players who can do that role better, and I'd like to see him in midfield, in all honesty, if not through in that false 9 position, because again, that's where we're lacking bodies at the moment with the injuries that we've got. So I don't know, I'd be more than happy to see him in this game, because I think if you earn your place, which granted he hasn't really fully earned his place, but if he's performed well, I'd like to see him given the chance to keep his spot for the rest of the season. I think it's only fair.
Yeah, 100%, man. I think purely because of the fact he scored a goal and he was one of the more above average players against Liverpool, because let's be fair, there weren't many standout performers in it. I think he has to start. I'd love to see him in the false 9. I'm pretty sure he played that and then drifted out to the left at the MX as well. But another man is Foden. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing him. I mean, I think he has to play as well, despite he didn't really get lay a stake in either of the Liverpool games. But I thought put him against that little gap. You know, we always say we exploit the gap between the wing back and the centre backs. You get someone as good as Foden, he'll find a way to do that 10 times out of 10. But you did mention the fact that we have a very, very injured squad, or at least a troubling injury worry within the squad. So we'll throw the team sheet up now that we're predicting. Obviously, you'll see there's no De Bruyne, there's still no Diaz. Don't think he's going to throw him in, but just looking at it, we'll go from the start. So there's Edison has to go back in. I'm sorry, I really do love Zach Steffen, but I mean, he made an absolute balls of that on Saturday, and definitely won't see the team for the rest of the season. Cancelo, I think he's going to have to play, but we don't know about Walker's injury. I presume he's going to be out to Madrid. I hope, to be honest, he's back from Madrid. He was in the boot, so there's I don't think we've been given a time limit on him. Stones and Laporte, again, if he's not going with Diaz, these two have to play. I think they're both been fantastic lately. And then Ake, we love Nathan Ake here. We're all Nathan Ake and Joris. And Nathan Ake at left back is my favourite Nathan Ake. Joe, what do you think? It's a good enough defence, surely.
It's also my favourite Nathan Ake as well. I said it on the review for Liverpool that, you know, if you look at the back four and the goalkeeper situation against Liverpool, it was so flat. It did no contribution to the attack whatsoever. They'll keep the ball tidy, but that's not what you need in this team. Against Liverpool, it was our downfall because there was no threat. There was no presence of, you know, someone being able to put a ball in behind their high line, which, you know, do Brighton play the same? No, of course they don't. So obviously it's going to be a different game, but you still want to have that threat of, you know, the long passing of someone like a Laporte, which I think is why Ake is suited to the left-back role more, because he lacks the long passing, but he's a defensive ability. So for me, he's just better at left back in this team. And obviously, after Zinchenko's misfortune, let me just put it against Liverpool, he wasn't great. I let him off because he just hasn't played much football at all this season. But he just can't continue to play. I think, you know, after that performance, you don't even risk it. You probably won't see much of him for the rest of this season. And I think this is the game. I was calling for it against Liverpool. Now, I think because we managed to actually somehow claw ourselves back into it, it didn't happen. But Diaz has to get minutes here. He has to get some minutes here. He has to get 10, 15 minutes here. He just simply has to. Madrid's in a couple of weeks. We're going to need him there for the likes of Benzema. So he just needs to get minutes over these next few games, you know, slowly amp it up, sort of 10, 15 minutes at the end, maybe one half of football at some stage. Then he gets his first start. He just needs minutes at this point because, albeit, yes, while the back four that we've currently predicted is still good enough, like obviously Cancelo suspended for Madrid, it's still good enough. We still need the bodies. We still need the bodies just in case something else does happen, because I wouldn't rule it out at this stage.
Yeah, no, it's just there's been so much going on lately. I wouldn't put it past you now if Rodri went out and got a career end or something at this stage, man. It's so dodgy. Like the amount of injuries that just came out of nowhere. It's purely from playing that Spanish one. That's what happened. Like, you know what I mean? They were just rough. They tore us apart when it came to that. But speaking of Rodri, that man has to be back in. I love Fernandinho to death. He can't play no game this season. I thought he would absolutely dog against Liverpool, and he lost his head. It's not usually something you see with Fernandinho, but he lost his head. And if that's how it's going to be, then I'm sure he does have the mentality, but to be doing that, just cropping Mane, going out of the way to do all that, he can't play at least the big games. We wrap up the league, of course he can play, but I mean, for now, Rodri has to be playing the rest of the season. I think it's just a fact. Gundogan as well, we said apparently he had a knee issue. We're not sure. We don't know if he's going to play, so we just kind of throw him in there. Bernardo needs a rest, but I mean, you're not getting, again, like we said, De Bruyne is probably still out as well. I wouldn't risk him in this either. If Bernardo's playing, I mean, he's going to have to get a rest eventually. I would have likened it to be tomorrow, but he's going to play as well if the injuries are as bad as they suggest, Joe.
Well, if he's the only fit or fully fit central midfielder that we've got no choice. I didn't want him to play 90 minutes at Liverpool. I didn't want him to play 90 minutes. I was okay with him starting, maybe playing a half of football just because of the injury list and him being swapped over at some point. But it's needs must. You just have to play. Like we know he can take it because he has a lot of energy. That's his whole game. But he still needs a rest at some point. Like, if he plays every game from now until Madrid, he's probably not going to be very good. He's probably not going to be very good. That's the one issue. You don't want him falling off because he's been very good this season, and he needs a rest at some point. I'm hoping that, fingers crossed, at some point we'll have De Bruyne and Gundogan. No, I don't like that midfield pairing whatsoever, but for the sake of giving Bernardo Silva a game off, I think that when you have the opportunity, you do it because you just have to. But again, this game, it's like De Bruyne injured or supposedly injured. He's got stitches or something, so you don't want to risk him. Gundogan had a knee issue. We don't even know if he's going to play. He's just in here because, like, what else do you do? I guess you could drop Foden back there or Grealish and put Sterling in. But again, like, Pep's got no choice. He's got to figure this out somehow.
Yeah, and he will. Like, there's no doubt we have enough players to play. Obviously, like I'm not even half concerned if Gundogan can't play. You drop Foden, bring in Sterling. But a man I don't want to see, and you won't see him in the front three. I don't want to see him for the rest of the season. Is Gabriel Jesus. I'm fucking sick of him. I am finished with him. We said this last year, and he had a little renaissance at the start of the season. I couldn't care less. He could go out and put up 100 goals for the season. I don't want him here. He's finished, right? I can't have him in there at all because he's not gonna do anything. He's not gonna do anything at all. It's his game. He'll go and maybe get a goal, but he'll miss about forward or chances throughout the game. So that's why the front three we're going with is Mahrez, Foden, Grealish, whatever way you want to look at it, whatever way you want to have going through the middle. I hope it's Grealish, but again, I think I've discussed that front three enough. I mean, Mahrez has to be in there. He changed the game against Liverpool. That was great against Liverpool. Created the chance for Bernardo. Joe, what do you think about the front three?
Just plainly and simply cannot be Gabriel Jesus, regardless of who you put in there, whether it be Sterling or whoever, whether the unlikely scenario that you throw someone like a Delap in there, which is never, ever, ever going to happen in a million years. You're dreaming if you think it is going to happen. You just cannot. You cannot play Gabriel Jesus, man. I'm sick of him. I really am sick of him. He'll do one good thing and three bad things. It's not good enough. It's too inconsistent. You never know what you're going to get. He'll get an assist for the first goal. He did really well for that first goal against Liverpool. He put Fabinho on toast, and then he goes and misses a sitter. He goes and misses a one-on-one, which he scores extra time. Could go on and win that game. You never know at this point. Obviously, extra time would be a horrendous thing for us because we don't need any more football. But again, you want to put yourself in an opportunity to win trophies, and that would have done so. He didn't take it. Again, we see it too often. He didn't take it. You cannot play him in this sort of game because you just can't afford it at this stage of the season. Like, you can't. Unless the game's done. Unless it's like 2-0, 3-0, game's done. Or, league's done last game at season. Can't play him. You cannot play him. You have to play Mahrez as someone who will take a chance, someone who is reliable, someone who you know what you're going to get, someone who is consistent. Grealish, again, he's a bit inconsistent himself, but I'd like to see him given the chance to keep his place after scoring a goal. You never know, the floodgates might open and he might suddenly become one of our better players. You never know until you try it. Same thing with Foden, I think he's been a little bit inconsistent himself this season, but we know what he can bring. He's got that credit in the bank. He's got, previous seasons to go off of what he can do. Gabriel Jesus does not have that in his locker. He doesn't have the previous seasons performances to go off and go, I know what you can bring. You can bring energy, but again, I've said this before, we have got many players through the ranks, through under 23s, under 18s level, whatever, who can bring energy to the team, who will play for the badge, who will run around all day because they want to be here. And if that's the whole thing for Jesus being in this team, then I think that's completely wrong. We need players who are just better suited to taking chances, making things happen. That front three is so creative, and Foden and Mahrez are clinical in front of goal. They will most definitely take a chance if they get given it. So that is something that, whilst everybody keeps talking about a striker, we have players capable of scoring goals anyway.
Yeah, 100%. 110%. I think you've hit the nail on the head there. You have to have these players in. These are big matches. The rest of these games are cup finals. You need to have these boys on target. You need to have them playing. Just has to be. So before we wrap it up, Joe, take the team into account. What's your score prediction?
Gonna go for a 2-0 win. I think we'll keep a clean sheet. Nathan Ake, my guy, Headband Ake at left back. Help us keep a clean sheet. Hopefully we'll see some Diaz minutes because we just need it. If he starts, I will be absolutely bamboozled because I don't expect it at all whatsoever. I think it's possibly a silly thing to do to throw him in and give him 90 minutes just out of the blue like this. But Pep will be Pep. I think we'll possibly see a Mahrez goal. I don't know what the crack is with him at the moment, being taken off after 60 minutes or starting from the bench during the stretch. I don't know what it is. So, I think he's going to have a little bit of a point to prove.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I hope he plays. I hope he plays. He plays in 90 minutes, and I think he could score as well. But I'm going to go 3-0, and I'm going to say John Stone's going to turn up with a header. I'm going to say 3-0. I think we have the home advantage. We need a positive reaction. I think we're going to be giving it. So look, we'll wrap it up there. Let us know your score predictions. Let us know your team predictions, and we'll see you in the next one.